Welcome back, everyone. Trying to seek some tranquility in Dino's garden this afternoon after another poor result yesterday. For me, a draw was all I wanted from the game, so yeah, I've got what I wanted, but when you go 2-0 up away from home, you know you're going to be under the cosh second half, so given I didn't go to the game, I've seen just the highlights and I'm making an assumption on what's happened, as will many others, but for me at 2-0 you should be confident enough to hold on to the game and push for what you'd say is probably the vital third goal when you're 2-1 down at least. So there was a 20-minute period between 2-1 up. It's a 20-minute period between Jutkiewicz scoring his first yesterday and us conceding the equaliser. In that period of time, there was a category of errors from a number of different players, which led to us actually eventually conceding the equaliser. So, an error disappointment around the club at the moment, but it's not all doom and gloom. And basically, we found ourselves in a kind of mini league between the clubs at the bottom of the table, and finding a result may be hard in the coming weeks. We've got Middlesbrough on Tuesday, and then we have to travel to Swansea, who've been very strong. But confidence-wise, for me, I think we're drawing games against teams, and that you can't see that as a bad point. We're not losing those games, which is a good thing. We've fought back in a number of games so far this season, and we've led in a number of games so far this season. So you could argue that there's a bit of complacency when it comes to drowning out results. But the thing that I would argue is that so far this season, we've not seen the same attitude from the team going into both halves of the game. So we only get a 45-minute performance each time they come out. So you'd either expect a good first half or a good second half, and you always get that. But my argument is, why aren't we doing that for 90 minutes? Why aren't we playing exciting, attractive football and gaining results over a 90-minute period rather than a 45-minute period? So having looked at it and had a few comments from people have been saying it's a lower league mentality. You score the goals, you get yourself ahead, and you've always got that idea that you'll come back into the game at some point. But the Championship is unforgiving. If you give away a stupid goal, or you give away, we'll get into red cards in a minute, but we give away stupid fouls, you're going to give yourself no room for improvement. So red cards wise, we've had 3 red cards this season, and ironically all 3 red cards have come from new recruits. Obviously Eden got a red, 2 yellows for a red, Ciala got a straight red, and Pennington got 2 yellows for a red yesterday. And I just think our attitude towards going into challenges and things like that is just a bit juvenile at the moment. We're not seeing those senior kind of players getting sent off for silly challenges, and they know that because they've learned over time. So at this moment in time, I still think the squad is young and hungry in places, but there's certain lessons that they need to learn about the Championship, but they can only learn about that through games. And unfortunately, it seems that a number of Town fans see 11 games as too much for a manager who's not getting results. Now, unfortunately, if you get a draw, unfortunately for those people who believe 11 games is too much, unfortunately a draw is not enough to sack a manager. And we've drawn the last 3 games. You could argue that we could have won some of those games, but still we're coming away with a point. And in this position, I'd rather be picking up a point every game than picking up none at all. and that may be an argument for another day, but you know, when you've got a choice between not getting anything and taking something, then you always take something from the game. And we've learnt a lot about our squad in the last week and a half, and we'll learn a lot about them on Tuesday night. I mean, we did pick up a fight and draw against Brentford at home on the Tuesday night, and basically that shows how effective our squad can be, because Brentford are no pushovers. Can we do the same against Borough? That remains to be seen. But yesterday we were a bit suspect at the back, and it definitely showed. We were very lucky to come away with a draw in the end, and that's not being kind to the squad at all. We could have been battered yesterday, and had it been for them missing chances and then not being very clinical, they've drawn a lot of games at home. That was their 5th draw in a row. They're unbeaten in 10 at home. It was a tough place to go. Basically last time out they beat Leeds, so you can look at the strengths of the squad that we played, but they were having an off day yesterday, and to go 2-0 up at half time and come out the second half and just throw it away is just it's not good enough, and they know that as players. So it's not time to think about the manager, or it's not time to think about who should be in and who shouldn't be in. I think the idea of keeping the squad together and keeping the same 11 each week as much as we can is a good idea. Well, let's talk about some of the positives then from yesterday, because there was positives. It's not all negative. We have got stuff to look forward to, and eventually this team will come good, and that's my idea, and that's obviously the outlook of the manager and the chairman and everyone involved with the club, who are working towards a goal, and that goal is Ipswich Town becoming more competitive in the Championship this season. It's not about getting promoted, it's not about finishing in the playoffs, it's not about finishing mid-table, it's about survival based on what we have at the club at the moment. And I think those players will go on to do very well in their careers, there's no doubt about that. We fought well, in my opinion, in the summer, and especially one of those who's I'm very fond of and has worked very hard, but has had a bit of criticism from a lot of people since joining in the summer, is John Nolan. Now, what John Nolan can give to the squad, his versatility, his movement, his passing, his range of passes, where he puts the ball in positions that we've lacked from players for a number of years now. And if you look back as far as, let's say, Nigel Reo-Coker, for example, or someone like Luke Hyam, we were always defensive minded and always passing the ball back to seep the pressure out. But when John Nolan picks up the ball, he won't do that. He won't go back. He'll always be looking forward, and he'll always be looking for that player on the wing or up front who can make a chance. And if you look yesterday, he sits behind the strike, so he sits in that position where he can pick up the ball and actually do something with it. And that's what we saw yesterday. And it was actually Kane Jackson who picked out John Nolan. And what a first touch finish! You can't take that away from the bloke. He's absolutely put that top corner. Lee Campbell had no chance saving that, and as was a goal yesterday, a very, very good goal. And I think we're going to see a lot more from John Nolan in the Championship, and I think we have got a hell of a player on our hands with him. You just got to give him time to settle in, and if any of you know, playing football, it takes you longer than the amount of games that they've had at the club so far to settle in. So the majority of the players are on 3-year deals. That after the first season you're looking to push on, and next season maybe we'd be looking to add in January, because we're a bit short in areas, but next season you'd be looking to kind of have an aim, let's finish mid-table, for example, or let's finish in the playoffs. That may be a bit too much for us as soon as next season, but we need to get in that mentality of that we don't deserve to be in this league as much as anybody else, and you only get in this league what you put into it. So you know, that's an argument against the chairman. Have you put in enough into the club? Have you given us enough resources to push on? I think he's invested smartly, and there's a 50-50 here. He's not doing enough, but he is doing the right things. So you can't really argue that he's not doing anything. So pushing forward, I think that we have got some bright sparks in there. I mean, we got Pennington on loan from Everton, and unfortunately yesterday he got sent off because since he has been with us, he has been solid. So we're looking back at Norwich, Hull, Brentford, Bolton, and yesterday. That's 4 draws and 1 loss since Pennington's joined. So at the back we've been quite solid. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we will miss him at the back. There's no denial about that. But hopefully, we'll bring back in Janoy Donasian, and he'll fit in at right back. Obviously, you have Chambers, Ciala, and Knudsen at the back. And there's been a few moans and groans about Jonas Knudsen, who's been quite suspect this season. And I'll tell you why. Because he doesn't look very. He doesn't look like he wants to give 100% at the moment. It's a bit of a weird one. As far as the player goes, he's settled in Ipswich. He's just had a newborn. He's played at a World Cup. All those things come from his move to Ipswich. But it was the kind of thing towards the end of last season. He was looking for a new club, and that was off the back of Mick McCarthy leaving. Obviously, there was a lot of tension between Mick and the fans, and I think Jonas got on the wrong side of that right when he didn't need to, right when we knew a new manager was coming in, and Brian Klug had taken over for the last 4 games. He sided with Mick at the wrong time, and I think that might have interrupted the kind of connection between him and the fans. But going forward, I think he may need to be given something to think about. Now, my idea is to bring Miles Kenlock in and give him some actual game time. Whenever Miles has played, he's played very well, and there's games I can think of. Derby away, for example, last season, he was tremendous at the back, and going forward, he just flies down the wing with his little chicken run. Because he's got a bit of a different run on him, but he can give us a lot more to the squad than Knudsen can at this moment in time. So I think there's a lot of things to think about, but obviously on Tuesday night we've got Borough. It's a massive game, and I do think that first win is coming. And how good would it be if we could do it against Borough? And at this moment in time, I think the squad's in a good place. We're pushing for results now. We're actually, scoring 2, going 2 ahead is a good thing. Losing obviously the lead is a bad thing, but to gain that confidence from that 45-minute spell will give them, food for thought, and give them the kind of enthusiasm to go into that game against Borough and actually get the 3 points. But minimum expectation is another point against Borough. If we lose, then Borough are a good side, but it's just going to get worse for the fans as a whole. For me, I see this as a building season, and potentially this could go into 2 seasons. So for me, I'm just being realistic. But for a lot of people, a loss at any time right now would just be a kick in the teeth, and what we need is that 3 points, and once we've got that, we can push on, and sky's the limit really, because the only way is up from where we are at the minute. So yeah, let's all get behind the boys and hopefully get 3 points against Borough on Tuesday night. Come on, you Blues.